So like we're ready.
Yeah, you're ready.
Are we live today too? Yeah. What are we live on?
Lauren's like, you can tell me that. Just YouTube.
We're live on YouTube and we're podcasting. Yeah. I have a special guest with me today. This is Lauren Thomas. She is our Chief Revenue Officer here at BAM Weather, and she's been with us now for, how long have you been here?
Almost a year and a half.
That's crazy. That's crazy it's been that long. So kind of funny how we came across Lauren and Lauren came across us. Essentially her husband had said, hey, there's a spot open at BAM Weather, and her first kind of response is like, what the hell is BAM Weather? And so that day we were interviewing a bunch of people. We had gone through 9 interviews, and it was a total crap show. I mean, it was not a good day for the interview panel. And I had said on the last one that I just don't even care. I can't actually say what I said because it would be frowned upon. And I'm like, if this lady, doesn't show up or whatever, and then she had the same thought process in the parking lot, like, I'm not coming into this place.
Yeah.
This is stupid. And now here we are, and she has done incredible things here for the company, and we're excited to. I think she's going to interview me today, or am I interviewing you?
It's a general conversation.
It's a general conversation.
About the topics.
I think Brett gave us no heads up on anything.
he's not
so
allowed to.
We don't know anything.
I don't normally. I'm not. When I do that, it normally doesn't go well.
Yeah, Brett's not allowed to prepare me so I can just talk. This is all really true. Like when I speak, it's very true. It's not planned. I have no idea what I'm going to say. I am enjoying a First Form energy drink, Screaming Eagle. Just saying, if they wanted to, sponsor the show or anything, I don't know. It's really good. Have you ever had one of these?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
First
drinking right
Form. This is just black coffee.
now? Okay.
Nothing super fun.
Yeah, had that this morning. So, did you ever think that you would, one, be working at a weather company, selling like weather data and weather intel, and two, actually be talking about it on a podcast?
One, I'm wondering how Brett convinced me to do this in this moment right now.
Yeah.
If anybody could see his smirk back there, they would understand. Absolutely not. Never in a million years. If you told me sell weather data, would I have had a clue what that even meant?
Yeah. And it's funny because I get a lot of people that ask, and while I'm talking, I'm actually going to share. Will you share the YouTube live to the BAM page? And I'm going to share it on my Facebook page too. But I still get people to this day, asking me, what do you do? How do you make money? I get that question all the time. In fact, I get people that I honestly think people think that I am involved in other things because I think they think my job sometimes is almost a joke. Like, oh, how do you make money doing that? Yeah. Like you have people you pay. Do they work there for fun or are they actually paid? And I'm like, no, I'll make salaries.
We get paid.
You get paid. Like it's real. It's not fake. So, but I do feel like not until really more recently that people have really started to understand it's a serious business.
Yeah.
To the multitudes of millions of dollars that people I don't think really quite understand what's all tied to weather data and all the things.
100%.
So,
I mean, I was guilty of that 18 months ago. I mean, that's why I sat in my car thinking, what am I walking into? What am I going to do here? What is this even about? Truth be told, I thought it was a social media company.
And a lot of people,
and
I
that's
just
all
had
it
that
was.
question
Yeah.
last night at the firehouse. So are you a social media company? Is what they asked. And they don't know.
Right.
They just don't know.
Right.
But yeah. So what is your interpretation when you see when you're thinking weather data? And Brett, make sure I'm on the right track here.
You're on the right track.
What do you think about weather data?
Well, I think 18 months ago I was the same as everyone else. That's something free on my phone. It just comes with it. does it really matter, right? I can't change it, so I just deal with whatever comes our way, and you move on for the day. Fast forward to today, it has been remarkable in what I've learned, and that so much of my career has been spent on predictive elements for safety components, and how can you have early warning signs and get prepared and be prepared to mitigate the damages of something you can't control. Never in a million years did I think that same thought process and application could apply to weather, because it's so uncontrollable. I also didn't know there were meteorologists that were not just on TV.
A lot of people don't know
I'm
that.
totally guilty of that.
Yeah,
Sorry, Brett and Hope and Michael sitting here. And I thought, well, what's the running joke? 50% wrong, whatever. You roll with it, move on. And then I got here.
So stop. I want to pause you because I kind of wanted to lead into this. Before you started working here and you were to check weather on your phone and you would look at like an application and get that forecast, tell me what you thought about that. Like, tell me that process. If you checked the weather on your phone, what would you think?
I didn't. It was never accurate.
Yeah.
It was never correct. So, you brought up my husband, and he would, follow you on lives. He's like, no, I'm telling you it's different. I'm like, it's not different. Whether nobody ever gets it right. Like, just quit wasting your time.
Yeah.
Right? Just deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I think when that's all you know, I will tell you, I think I didn't even look at it on the daily. I would just go outside and be like, well, if it's raining, I'm getting wet.
Well, and here's the funny thing is, and by the way, this really is a genuine conversation. I mean, Lauren does not have a background in meteorology at all. Like, I mean, seriously. So she has a professional background of doing things that are at a high level, but not with weather data and meteorology. So that's why this is an interesting conversation, because she falls into the category of 99.9% of people that they don't understand truly she does now, obviously, but beforehand, understanding truly. We were just talking the other night about outflow boundaries on radar.
Yep.
And one thing that's fascinating, even to this day, with all the technology that we have, all the weather data that we have access to, billions of dollars in research all across the world, when you've got thunderstorms on radar in the summer, May, June, July, August timeframe, and they're throwing outflows out, there's no weather model in the world that can solve that. Okay, so weather models are in a simulation of the future. So they're taking millions of mathematical equations and they're running them against statistical parameters of what normally happens. And it factors in some thermodynamics, some physics and things to try and formulate an outcome. But they're never going to be able to see the actual behavior of these boundaries. And I sent that to you the other night, and I think your mind was
I was
jumbled up a little bit.
I was blown away, right? Yeah. Because again, when you rely on just the automated radar data alone, it's just another miss, right? And so to have you all the time. Every time, right? And of course, where my mind goes is to the immediate. How did you see that? What are you looking at? And you explained it all, but then it went the step further of what kind of damage are we looking at, right? What is the risks here for when people don't understand this? You went on to explain the microburst element that can occur with these horrific straight line winds that come out of this, that emulate, or people will think, an average person will think, a tornado. Yep. And my brain just went to all of these events, all of these, we're coming into May in Indiana, right? I think about the track and how many people are out there, and I just think about, if you're not working with meteorologists who can see this,
Yep.
right? Because I certainly can't,
Yep.
and give forewarning on that, what is the risk?
Yeah, it's high. It's high. People don't understand because they run. So people run with the adage of, it's not going to hit me, or odds are low, or we'll figure it out when the time comes. And there have been instances, and I'm not going to talk about some specific instances that have happened in the state, but there have been some tragic incidences that have occurred throughout the years that with an expert human meteorologist behind a screen consulting with people managing events, listen, when I say easily preventable, I don't know how else I can't make that any more clear. I mean, we have, Brett, that was what, 5 years ago, the Des Moines Art Festival, where we had an outflow boundary move the opposite direction. All right, and Brett who was monitoring the event, was able to send a 1 hour notice and saved the Des Moines Art Festival millions of dollars. Because and it wasn't even rain, by the way, it was just a gust of wind that radar picked up on. No weather model in the world, doesn't matter what you do, you would never have seen it. It would have, if you wouldn't have been watching it, it would have obliterated that festival. It would have ruined all the art, people would have gotten hurt, possibly killed, and it would have been a national story.
Sure. And think about
Seriously.
how often that still
crazy.
happens
All the time.
for people that don't have that information.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to have a human watching it real time. So to the weather data point, I wanted to show something. We run weather models all across the world. We have the American model, we have the European, the Canadian, we have a bias-corrected North American ensemble forecast. That's the Mexicans, the Europeans, the Americans, we mix it all together. We have the UK Met, United Kingdom. Several models that run and give us a skill of accuracy. On the left, for those of you that are not watching, I'll describe it a little bit more, but if you can see it on the left, this is the standardized anomaly correlation. So this is telling us basically the percentage of their accuracy, how right they can be. And it's interesting because a lot of folks, if you remember last week's topic about the National Weather Service and the cutbacks and the concerns about weather model accuracy and all that, this right here goes to show you that has not been impacted at all, because this is the 90% line, okay? And this is the 95% line. So at day 3, a 72-hour forecast, we have several instances where models are 95% or better accurate, okay? And here's what's scary about this is that can still mean that they cannot solve these outflow boundaries. They're not going to tell you where a tornado is exactly going to form. They can't tell you where it's exactly going to hail. It's not possible. It's not a possibility. So you have to have the human element to that point, be able to do that. But I wanted to show this. This right here was our upper level low that we had that cut off a couple of a week or so ago. Models do very, very poor with upper level lows. They don't perform very well. But you can see recently we're right back up into the 90 to 95% category for predictability. And so even with as good as weather data is, it is good. There's still so much that there's such a gap that it doesn't cover. And what really drives me crazy is there are organizations that try to tell people that they have the super secret data and the special satellites and their own radars, and they go out and raise millions and tens of millions of dollars to say they have all these super secret tools, and it doesn't matter. Like, we talk to customers every day that,
Yep.
you know,
And they're like, well, what do you have that's different, right? And they're blown away at the fact that whether it's myself or you or anybody in our organization admit there's nothing secret. The secret is who you're working with here. It's how much they care about getting it exactly right.
Yep.
And I think that's what's always blown me away too since being here is, most of us get on an app. What do? You look at the radar, you look at the hourly. Okay, cool, right?
Yep.
Well, that's 30% chance of rain. You hear the average person say it all the time. I had no clue what that actually meant before I started working here, right? I thought I did,
Yeah.
right?
Most people still don't know what it means.
And I don't,
Yeah.
right? But then I sit there and I think, I'm listening to the meteorologist out here working with clients. This is a fun story, but a super cool story yesterday. We are working with several of the race teams down at the track this week. They're getting ready for the race at the end of the month. Both of them hit me with emails, 2 of them, and said, I don't know how your team did it, but we were the only ones that kept equipment and cars out. The rain was a half a mile away, and they flat out said, turn 3 and 4 are going to get sprinkles, but don't even worry about it. And I'm like, well, did you get sprinkles? And they're like, 5, maybe 5,
Yeah,
right? And they're like, and then it went right past us.
Yeah.
And they're like, we even had your radar up,
Uh-huh.
and we couldn't have seen that. And so I think that's all just so cool to me, that's how much our team cares. And that's kind of the difference, I think, too, is how specific
Yeah.
and how detailed it can actually be.
Yeah, yeah, and again, normal people, you know, to no fault of their own, just that they just don't know that because they don't know. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, a 30% chance
Yep.
of rain. Well, the way that percentage is, we call them pops in the meteorology world. It's probability of precipitation on the hour. And what the weather model does, the way the weather model is made, it's the probability that you will see 1/100th of an inch of rain. The probability has nothing to do with anything else other than what's the probability of 1/100th. So maybe enough to make the pavement wet. It has nothing to do with probability of heavy, probability of, you know, whatever. Now there are other parameters nowadays that can predict probability of flash flooding or there are other things, but the pops that are all on your phones, that's all that is. It has nothing to do with the amount of rain. It's just the chance of that. So, and also, so you know, pops are not point specific. The pop in a weather model is a 25-mile radius within an area of a point. The way the model is formulating that pop traditionally, it's for a large area. It's not for your back door. It's just, and so there's just so many things weather data wise that is really a misconception. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm curious. Before you worked here, did you believe that everyone had their own weather radar, like Channel 13? Channel 59.
I mean, you know, I will tell you, I never put much thought or credibility into it.
Yeah.
I think from just my experience, I thought, oh, it's a marketing gimmick. Like, it's clearly not any better, even
Sure.
if it is their own.
Yeah.
But I just was clueless. I was clueless on how it even worked.
Yeah.
And so, of course, you buy it, right? Well, they must have something,
Yeah.
or they wouldn't say it.
Yeah. A lot of people think that, you know, everybody's got their own radar, like it's theirs, and they don't.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, you know, some of these news stations may have a little local Doppler dome that they've paid money for that can, you know, that may be somewhat useful or beneficial in a small radius, but not anything. When you're looking at radar on any application on your phone, doesn't matter who it is, it's all the same radar data, all of it, no difference. They just make the colors different, and some people update in 10-minute intervals, and some people update in 2-minute intervals. So, you know, there's just so many things. I got another question for you.
Sure.
Before you started working here, did you think that heat lightning was real?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Right? Like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
oh, it's just Eli, I read it.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is people don't, you just don't know. Like that's one of those things that it's not because anyone's stupid. It's just people think, well, that's what it's been called for 50 years, so we call it heat lightning. Well, it's not a thing. It's lightning from a storm in the distance that is ongoing from a hot summer day, and it's hot and muggy outside, but the actual term heat lightning isn't a thing. So it's just interesting to get outsiders, you know, takes on situations.
It is fun. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's fun to learn about all of this. And, you know, it's something that we talk about all the time. You know, Brett and I spend a lot of time just dealing with questions, right? You work with these organizations, and it's funny because I think so often it's so outside of the box of normal thinking that even people that deal with it, our EMAs, our DOTs, right? They live and breathe this. Every decision they make,
Yep.
right, it is about and around weather. And even at times, they'll contract with us, they're working with our Mets, they're chatting, at 2 a.m. And they come back and they're like, this is unbelievable. I almost didn't believe this was real.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how you're doing this.
Yeah.
So, I would even argue people that work in it all day, every day, don't have the depth of understanding of what can be done
Yep.
when the right people are looking at all of this data and how predictive and how early that prediction can be extremely accurate
Yep.
and help you make those big decisions.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, I would say the overall topic of
That leads right into the next kind of key point that I was going to bring up.
oh,
Well, you're welcome.
interesting. Oh, you're flipping the script on me here.
Yeah.
Decision making. So,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, when it comes down to people who need to make decisions, listen, we have an application and it's cool. I love Clarity, and it has hourly data in it, and it goes hour by hour, and I can get all the details and all the things. And I will be honest with you, as a co-founder, as our CEO of this company, not it. I don't. This isn't where I go. Okay. I have hourly products in our application because people want to see it. I have told these guys for years. They've probably heard me say it. If people didn't want it, I wouldn't show it. I wouldn't have hourly data in the application. And then here's why. Because it has severe limitations. And if you're decision making off of automated hourly weather data, the odds are you're up a creek without a paddle. You're screwed. And so what I love about Clarity, we've made it to the point now where our meteorologists can make the hourly say whatever we want. We may just toss the weather data right out the window and say, this is crap. We're changing it. And honestly, that's really cool that we can do that. Like, we can alter everything now.
Every day we have somebody come back and go, I don't understand. I looked at Clarity's hourly and it was so significantly different than anything else. Well, my first question is, why are you using anything else? Right? Let's just be honest, right? And that's what I tell them all the time, because our meteorology team is constantly monitoring that data for accuracy. Otherwise, we wouldn't be who we are.
Yep, exactly. And it's funny because, when we first started years ago and we were helping people make decisions, it was just through text messaging and emails. It was the basic of the basic. We used to rotate shifts on Christmas Eve and New Year's Day on who's getting the video forecast and sending a text message to NDOT. So it's come a long way, but the real sauce in our service, if you will, where the magic really happens in decision support, high cost decision support, by the way, is 6 hours, 12 hours, day of. It's talking to a human the day of the decision. Because let's be honest, it's great to plan ahead and know in 3 days you're going to get a snowstorm, but you can't make financial decisions until it's here, and you have to pivot and move a large number of people around or product. Imagine, take the Indy 500, for example. 300,000 people.
Yeah.
It's the largest sports event in the world, single-day sporting event in the world. They don't give a rat's ass, okay, if there's thunderstorms in the forecast 4 days out.
No.
They don't care.
No.
Yeah, they're going to hope it doesn't storm. But if it's 300,000 in the stands and we have a tornado-warned supercell an hour out and it's going towards IMS, now we've got a serious problem. And we have to act on that. No hourly forecast, no future cast, nothing is going to prepare someone for that.
No, and just a yesterday, it was just yesterday, right? I was watching our severe weather team, right, out there, and I know you guys hit on this, but I'm getting every day. What do you guys think about the NWS? Just people in like this panic, like weather's going to go away without them, right? And explaining that our meteorologists are monitoring the same thing, and we're working with the NWS, right? We bring all of that in. But what's interesting is because the way our team is set up, because the way the company is ran and led, and the mission is what it is for our clients and organizations, I was watching BAM alerts come out with flash flood warning, which if you're in the Indy area, driving on the interstate yesterday, you felt that dramatically. It's horrible, right? But they were 13 minutes, 28 minutes ahead of even some NWS alerts at times. And I think that's the key element, right? Is in these types of scenarios, people want to say days, right? Well, you can't plan for emergencies in days. I don't care what the emergency is, right?
No way.
There's nothing predictive that's going to give you a sign that in 4 days you're going to have to deal with an emergency, right? But when you speak about emergency, and when I speak about being predictive and proactive, the difference of 13 minutes is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And
especially with 300,000.
Oh my gosh.
And
just last year, what'd we see? You talked about what does the average person think about weather? Well, we watched, the weather come through, and how many people just sat outside. They did not listen to the warnings. The track did everything right, trying to get it, but they can't force people, to move, especially not in those numbers. And nobody believed it. Nobody, my phone's going off, it's fine.
No, it's day of high cost decision support. There's no technology, even now more than ever. Now more than ever, the human element is needed more than it's ever been needed before, because there's an over reliance on AI and technology, and listen, there are 10 other CEO, leader, presidents of companies like mine that would say I'm a fool for saying that. It's all automated. It's AI, satellite technology. I'm telling you right now, I will run over those people. In fact, I'm going to. And the reason is because we have people that are, listen, people created the technology. People wrote AI. People built radars. And so you have to understand, like, there's limitations here, okay? I know of a company providing service to a company here in Indianapolis that holds large venues that have been caught with their pants down because their automation is not good. I mean, we've seen it because it's automation and there's not a human there. So how are we on time? Where are we at with how long? 28? Okay. So yeah, I mean, with decision making, it's just critical that when it comes down to brass tacks, when it comes down to making the decision, you've got to understand that your free apps, your automated data, that is not it, and it won't ever be it.
No.
It'll never happen, not in our lifetime.
No, in fact, I think the CEOs, I'll just say it, the CEOs pushing automated data, it's a cost savings to their bottom line.
Oh, sure,
means
yeah,
their profit increases. That's why they're pushing it and telling you this is the next greatest thing, right?
Sure. Absolutely. Yep. So I'm curious, are there any questions that you have for me based on what we've talked about today that people might be wondering or that you're wondering?
I'll go back to day one in the interview. Why did you do this?
Yeah, honestly, probably has a lot to do with this, if we're being honest. So in, we're really, the real reason we're here, and it is where it is today, is from the January 2014 blizzard that rolled through here. We had actually already been a little bit of a thing prior to this, but the real light bulb moment for me was January 2014, where 5 days out from a blizzard, a foot of snow, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and minus 50 wind chills, shut the state down for several days. Just a few days out from that, local area forecasts were, hey, we might get enough snow to coat the ground. All in the same time, I got into a screaming match with a local meteorologist and news director from a local news station on phone call, because at the time, social media was really starting to. 2014, like Facebook was newish. It was coming around, but things were starting to like go viral. Like you could post an image and people would be like, "Holy crap, I'm sharing that." The next thing you know, 1 million people have seen it, and that was new, because the news stations at the time they were the only ones that had the capability to reach the masses. So in 14, 15, when we were able to start reaching the masses, and we would post these forecasts, we would be called doom and gloom forecasters, don't trust the internet meteorologists. Well, at that time, I had identified not only was there a huge opportunity to get real information to people, but at the time in 2014, I had 4 clients. 4. And one of them was Kevin Mangin from B&B Group, who I still talk to at times today. And B&B Group, still customers to this day. They're a large, very, very well-ran organization, snow and ice management here in the city of Indy. But Kevin, he would just alter his entire day and night and life based on weather data. During that storm, and we moved it around, and we were texting at all hours of the night, and it was in my head at that time. It was like, there's a need for this. And in 2014, by the way, this wasn't anything new, but the level of care and just one-on-one, that didn't exist. You're talking to people in forums, and waiting on 30 minutes to get replies from technology that was written in 1998.
Well, and my guess is very generic forecast too, because
Yes.
nobody really wants to be wrong.
No one's texting you at 2 a.m., that's 30 minutes from you and can have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I got into it because I just noticed that we could do better, but we weren't doing better because there wasn't a reason to do better. No one really cared. It was, hey, I'm gonna play it safe and toss this out and hope I'm not wrong. And oh, and by the way, you're irresponsible and you're trying to hype it up because you're telling us that it could be bad. And that was, to me, the turning point of, I actually know how to do this. And I know that a lot of people need it. And so we're gonna do it. And that's where really the turning point was. Hey, by the way, you all sucked with that forecast. Just gonna put that out there. You blew it. We didn't. We won. Hello, congratulations, but that's why we're here.
I'm going to tell you a funny story to take us all the way back to the first story of me going, who the heck is Bam Weather?
Yeah.
2014, I'm going to tell my husband here, he has been following, right? That was the shift in our house. And I remember walking through the house going, oh my gosh, are we still listening to this live, right? But
So it's been that long.
Oh my gosh.
No
Yeah,
kidding. That's fun.
I'm going to make him sound weird, but he's been following forever.
That's awesome.
And I will never forget though, walking through it. And finally, I'm listening and I'm like, these guys are pretty cool. Like, I liked the way that it was aggressive, right? And not aggressive in a wrong way, but just a confident, like, guys, listen. You need to know how you're going to be impacted. And truthfully, I don't know that I've ever heard anybody to this day do weather like that, right? I care about your impact and how this affects you, not just, let's look at the radar.
One of our largest customers and one of the still a pillar in our success is Beex Hybrids, the seed company. And I'll never forget when they called and inquired. They inquired about service. And this is about 6 or 7 years ago, I don't know. I got an email from them. I'm like, I'll come and talk to you. I had no idea.
What are we doing?
And I remember even asking people, what do I quote them? How do I even price them at? And I came in way high, and Brad Brad Fruth, if he's watching or ever sees this, I love him because he was like, "Hey, Mike, no, let's try again."
Like you're good,
You're
but
right. But anyways, the story about Brad is Brad ran a Twitter account and may still run one called Vincent Family Farms on Twitter. No clue it's related to Beex. No clue. One day, 7 years ago, because he was a follower and he was always interacting with me, a tornado was coming to his house, so I tweeted him. I said, "Hey, there's a tornado coming for your farm. You need to take shelter." And it wasn't a month later, he said, "You need to come to Beex." I'm like, okay. I show up and in the meeting in front of Beex, which is, by the way, a multi-billion-dollar, amazing family-built organization. I didn't know at the time. Now I do. And he's like, "I'm Vincent Family Farms on Twitter," and my jaw hit the table. I'm like, now that's cool, But it's because I cared about. I knew who he was. I cared about the outcome, the safety of him, because he had talked to us frequently. And now, Beex has catapulted us into levels that I couldn't have even fathomed back then. All because it was a personal touch in helping him make a decision to seek shelter and keep his family safe a few years ago. So I could go on and on and on about this.
I've got one question to end.
Please.
Why now, more than ever, is that so important?
Why now, more than ever, is that so important? That's a great
Obviously,
question.
it's always been important.
Yeah.
But becoming increasingly so, increasingly more of a topic.
Yeah. I'm gonna inject a story. That just yesterday.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of questions around NWS, and so I think a lot of people have become very intrigued, right? They're on a mission to research and learn, which I think is very, very cool. Yesterday, we are on with an EMA out of Ohio. In this conversation, she says, "Oh, I'm actually a degreed meteorologist." Like, okay, that's really cool, because you're a client.
Yeah.
But you're a degreed meteorologist. And I think that what people are feeling right now, Brett, is a key element of this. Her exact quote was, "Yeah, I am a meteorologist, and can I look at all the models, and can I do what you're doing? Of course, but you know what, I'm also an EMA. And my list of responsibilities in that role is so long that when I'm out in the field, I have to have something reliable, right?" And she's like, "Not an app." And I thought this was very cool with what you said a minute ago. "Not radar. I can do all of that. What I need is a team beside me, like your meteorologists, that I can chat with right there instantaneously, right? I know their names, and I need to feel supported because I've got 40 decisions that no one else can help me with, but I know I've got a team that can help me with this." And I think that's the trend that I've been hearing a lot more, even in my short tenure here, is people can do it, and they do it okay, right?
Yeah.
They just want a team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think to that point with asking why now more than ever too is there's fear of losing it from defunding and restructuring of the Weather Service. We've heard Slack channels aren't being replied to, NWS chats are. In fact, I believe, was it Brett maybe that told me that the Kansas office has like hours of operation now? That did you tell me that?
I think it might have been John.
John?
That's crazy.
Like they post hours that from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. no one's there. In Kansas, Goodland, Kansas.
Well,
You get big tornadoes and hail.
I was going to say, weather doesn't stop.
But I'm pretty sure, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I just learned that yesterday, but that doesn't happen here. And because we're a private company, we're not funded by the government. We're not funded by anybody. So we are able to do all that ourselves and make those decisions. But I think that another part to this, real quick, I know we need to start wrapping up, but another part to this is you can't go past a social media channel right now without running across some weather page. I mean, the information, the people doing this, It's running rampant. And listen, I'm not hating. I love it. Keep doing it. Have a great time doing it. Get your followers, get your clicks and your all the things. I'm not hating on it.
Yeah.
All right. But what I am cautioning you on as organizations making decisions on the lives and the safety of and the money and the things of your things is vet those sources and make sure you're getting good decision-making information from people that are qualified to give it to you, that have a resume of companies that are Fortune 500, hell, even Fortune 50, MLB, NFL, NBA, NCAA, NASCAR, IndyCar,
NHRA. Goes on and on.
It goes on and on, the list of clients we serve, so we're legit. And so my point is that and now more than ever, there is an overload of information on the public side that you should be careful with, and they're pulling back on information from the Weather Service that a lot of people have relied on for years. And so now more than ever, I think you're really going to need people that can help you make a decision. Okay, weather data is a dime a dozen. That's not what we're selling. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about decision making. So this is fun conversation.
Fun.
Pulled it right out of our freaking butts, you know? Yeah.
About 32 seconds of walking in the door.
Yeah.
This is where we're at. After a wild Thursday morning.
Yeah.
In the office.
It's been interesting.
Always.
Yeah.
It's been very strange around here this morning. I don't even know. Hey, if today brought you any value, you loved the show, share it with a friend, leave a review, post this, subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, BAM Weather. And make sure you listen to our next episode. It'll be next week. We do it once a week right now. They've started to get some traction. Last week's podcast had several thousand listens and views, which was pretty interesting. So we're going to keep doing this. And you know what, Brett? I kind of like having a guest. You know, maybe we're going to get some different people to sit in the chair. And interview people and get their take on situations. And it's not scripted. I mean, behind me is a green screen and two people and a mirror, like there's weird stuff in the background. It's like a green jersey and...
Oh, that was my football costume.
Yeah, see, so there's nothing's planned here.
We have lightsabers, we have a golf club in the corner over there.
We do have a lightsaber. Where is it?
It's not in here.
Don't give it to me.
Uh-uh.
This is fun. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. You all have a great day.